Hello everyone, welcome back for another Art of War tier list. I'm John Lennon, this is Nick Nanavati. We are here to rank the rest of the elves.
Pew 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 pew, these are the punchy clown Harlequins that seem to be destroying everybody, plus some Ynnari and a Webway Gate, because why not?
I mean, why not, right?
Why not?
It used to be in the Harlequin Codex.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
It did, it really did. We didn't change the tier maker.
Yeah, we did. Oh, that one. Okay, well, let's see if I can do that real quick.
Let's see if we can do that. So we normally do the tier maker in a style out of our own, with tournament staples and strong and most lists, YGWY, all these categories that are a little more specific than the classic S, A, B, C, D. But in this specific instance for Harlequins, we actually want to go back to the classic S, A, B, C, D tiers. So we're going to be ranking the Harlequins by unit choice amongst them. And the reason is because Harlequins, they're pretty good, and it feels weird putting almost the entire codex into tournament staples. There's also only like 7 data sheets in the codex, so you kind of have to use pretty much all of them or close to it. Ynnari and the Wraithgate, you don't really take them in armies unless you choose to, go out of your way to, because they're such a small, obscure portion of the codex. So you basically, we thought it would make much more sense doing this S, A, B, C, D tier thing, which John just did live for you. So here we go. Look at that.
Live look behind the screens. There you go. What's up, Nurgle Matt? So happy to have you in the chat. So nice to meet you in person this past weekend at Adepticon. You ready, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
You ready?
Well, I'm super ready. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really helps grow our channel. Leave a comment. It really helps with the analytics and lets us keep doing tier lists and things like that for you. If you like this content and lots of content just like it, you can check out the War Room. That's a whole community where you have like-minded gamers who are just trying to get better at 40k. You get some access to some of the world's best Warhammer players. Really positive, uplifting, high focus on sportsmanship, along with tons of tactics classes, meta Mondays, faction clinics, and 2 coaching games per week. We got some good ones for you this week, including Harlequins.
We've got one coming up later today where I'll be playing a very different type of Harlequin list. No 9 Voidweavers. I'm actually going Twilight with some Skyweavers up against Jack Harpster's New Look Custodies.
Very exciting. So you can check that out live in the Worm today. Or if you can't make it live, don't worry. You can replay them at your leisure. If you want, you can also check out the Worm membership on YouTube. So you don't have to go to our website, although you could, and just grab it anywhere you can. All right, John, let's get into it.
Let's get ready to rumble. Let's do this. So, you know what? I already hyped them up. Let's start with them. Skyweavers. They didn't really change much, according to Nick, right?
They really didn't. You didn't take them before. You still don't see them too often now. When you do see them, statistically, apparently they just make your list worse. So this is not a bad unit. I want that to be clear. Skyweavers are not actually bad. They move around really fast. They're still very tough because they're Harlequins. Got that 4-up invul. You got luck dice, -1 to hit. No rerolls, all baked in there. They've pretty much lost. They changed their profile. So the Haywire will make them a little bit okay at shooting vehicles and pretty mediocre at infantry. Shuriken Cannon's okay, but I'd rather just take a Starweaver. That's 2 Shuriken Cannons and 2 single Skyweavers. And then they've got either a Weird Grenadier or a Zephyr Glaive, which is fine. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I still like them quite a lot. One of the nice things is that a lot of the buffs changed from infantry to core, and because they are core, they do actually get things like the -1 to wound from Shadowseers. They do have an interesting in-between on all of the rules between your troops and your Starweaver and Voidweaver chassis. So they have the no rerolls to hit, but they're not -1 to hit in shooting, only in combat. But they're still Harlequins. You can lightning fast them pretty easily. I honestly like them. One of the nice things about them is that they have that infantry-esque advance and charge. Yeah. So they can just move 22 inches and charge. Yeah. And I love that. It's not like Harlequins are slow at close combat, but there is not much left in the game that moves faster than the Skyweavers.
That's true. They are one of the fastest units in the game, especially if you're moving 20-something and charging. That is a good tool. Vehicles can't really do that. Troops can't really do that. I won't neglect that, but they're not particularly great in combat. If you take a 5-man and then give them all Zephyr Glaives, they're okay. Anything short of that is pretty mediocre. Yeah. But then on top of that, a 5-man also becomes one of your to the last, which is okay. I don't think they're really in danger of dying, but if you're throwing them out there to charge people, they kind of are.
Yeah. It's actually funny. I didn't take to the last once in 7 games at Adepticon.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I would, and just never actually needed it.
We tested with it a lot.
I did test with it a lot.
That Harlequin secondary is pretty good.
It turns out, right? I like them. If we're staying in the clown theme here, they're definitely a jack of all trades unit. Yeah. They're very fast. They're pretty tough. They're core, they get all the buffs. They hit decently hard in combat, they shoot decently hard. They're not as points efficient for combat as troops. They're not as points efficient for shooting as boats. They're probably not as tough as boats, but they're faster and they get, some more defensive buffs. They're just pretty good at everything without being, like, amazing at anything.
I think as a unit in a vacuum, it's a pretty good unit. In the context of a Harlequin army, it's literally your worst option.
In the context of Harlequins, it probably is the worst data sheet, and I would still put it at B tier.
I'd put it at B tier. It's like a fine unit.
It really is. And, like, honestly, if some of the rest of the book changes a little bit, I could totally see them going up in stock. Because, points for a data sheet, it's not bad at all. Like, I look at other 45, 50-point models, I'm like, yeah, this isn't, particularly better than a Skyweaver.
You could make a real argument between a single Skyweaver and a Viper. They're pretty much the same cost. And they're very similar unit types. So, I think they're fairly costed. Even potentially well costed. But, yeah. All right, this is a weird one. The Webway Gate. Wraith Gate? Webway Gate?
It is indeed a Webway Gate.
So, it changed a lot. It went from, why even take this to holy crap. How did it change, John?
So, really the big change is that it's still a fortification, but it can now forward deploy, and it no longer has limits on being far away from other terrain pieces. So you can basically deploy it like an infiltrator squad, just wherever you want, and it really has some interesting reserve roles. Before, you had to pay CP to put one unit a turn through the Webway Gate, and it was in your deployment zone anyway, so it was kind of not that useful, right? Pay CP endpoints to put a unit in your deployment zone feels like something I can do in deployment. But now units can arrive like it's like a table edge. They can just walk on like strategic reserve-esque, but they don't have to be 9 inches away from the enemy. So that provides a really interesting reserve mechanic because when you put it front and center, your opponent is now incentivized to stay away from it. Also, I believe it could be killed before, and it definitely cannot be killed now.
That's true. I think you have to build your army around it. You're not just going to slot one of these in. But if you choose to go the route of building your army around it, you're going to run it. Yeah. I think as a unit type, a fortification is strange to rank. It doesn't really do anything aside from whatever value its actual special rules apply. But it's got really good utility and special rules. I would put this in A tier, honestly. I think it's really strong, but you're not going to see it often.
I would as well. I know we're talking mostly about Harlequins and Ynnari today, but of course you can use this with Craft World Eldar and a Drukhari. So there is a lot of value to just having melee units show up. Yeah. Like you could just have the Incubi walk in out of this thing and be like, here we go.
Yeah.
We've already talked about it, but I'm actually a big fan of putting something like the Avatar or Dire Avengers in it. Because they like appearing in the mid-board without getting shot first, and it's a nice, efficient way to transport them. We also did not mention that it has a special rule where you have the amount of command points you spend on putting units in strategic reserves, rounding down if there's one in your list. So if there's one in your list, and you put 9 power level in reserve, you spend 1 CP. You have that to 0.5, you round down, it costs 0. So that just saves you CP. Now, let's say you spend 3 CP putting units in reserves. You put 29 power level in reserves, right? That's a ton. You have that to 1.5, you round down to 1. 1 CP to put 29 power level in reserves.
That's insanity. All right, put this thing in S tier. I'm going to use this.
We do need to get one of these.
Yeah.
Imagine how many Dire Avengers 29 power levels.
No, I'm imagining right now. Put this in S tier.
S tier. I actually, honestly, would still argue for an A tier.
Fine.
It is very good. It has really, really cool things. But in the context of some of the other units we're going to discuss, I don't feel like it's on the same level.
I just got excited about Dire Avengers.
I think I called this earlier. I think I said 30 Dire Avengers and Avatar in the Webway Gate would be an actually really cool build.
You never have to sell me on Dire Avengers and Avatars and Webway Gates. That's janky and right up my alley. And you know who's janky and right up my alley too? Magenran 3 Death Jesters. How are we ranking the Death Jester, John?
So the first Death Jester in a list, I actually think is the best model in the Harlequin army.
I think he is up there competing for best character in the game stats. There's 2 different ways to run a Death Jester. There's one combination Death Jester, which is insane, and then there's just the stat line based Death Jester and whatever other stuff you want to give him. And they are vastly different in functionality. What's the Super Saiyan Death Jester?
So the Super Saiyan Death Jester, you give him one of the little point upgrade things, and he's 55 base, but for 15 points, making him 70, he is going to get the ability to, every time he rolls a 6 in shooting, he gets 3 extra hits. So he's Assault 3, 30 inches, Strength 6, AP 2, Damage 2, and he can target characters. That's not bad. 55 points, it's actually pretty good. It's
pretty good.
It's not crazy though. I'm not going to write to my parents about it. But
they care a lot.
But I did actually write to my parents about the Super Death Jester because 3 shots every 6 to hit means you get 3 additional hits. Means getting 6 hits fairly likely. Right, at this point, it's like 50% chance that you just get 6 hits on your 3-shot gun.
Because if you roll 1-6, you get 3 additional hits.
3 additional.
So then you got your normal 3 hits. That's 6 hits. Wow. Yeah.
But then, if he's favored by Kegrak, favored by the Laughing God, he gets another special roll. It's a Swirler trait, where every time, or once per turn, player turn, yours and your opponent's, after you roll a hit, wound, or save, you can just look at the dice and be like, you know what? It would be a lot cooler if that was a 6. And you just like flip it right to a 6. Mm-hmm. So you put this on this guy, Jester. Jeff the Jester, and he basically has a minimum of 6 hits at that point.
So basically, let's say I roll 3 dice and I roll a 1, a 2, and a 4. This is a pretty crappy roll. I normally get 2 hits. I'm going to turn that 1 into a 6, which will be 3 additional hits. So now I've got 3 normal hits, a 2, a 4, and a 6.
Yeah.
And 3 bonus ones. So whatever I roll, I'm getting like 6 hits. And what if I rolled like a 1, a 3, and a 6 on the first roll? Then I'd change that 1 to a 6 and get 6 additional hits for a total of 9.
Yeah.
That's insane.
We've also seen multiple times where you roll 3 dice and 2 of them are 6s.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just like, here's a little anecdote for you. Game 6, Adepticon, I was playing against James Kelling. I deployed all of my characters like on the table to try to get him to send his Death Jester forward. Because I had all my luck with the Laughing God dice. I'm like, you know what, screw it. A -1 to wound. Like, I think I got this. Yeah. So he drives his Death Jester up. Same loadout as mine. And he drops the 666s on me. And my Death Jester is -1 to wound. So he only puts 8 wounds on him. And the Death Jester makes 7 of 8.
What?
And it's just like good. Like, I had like all my luck with the Laughing God ready. And I'm like, oh, well, that worked out well.
That worked out well.
I was thinking it'll be like, 6 hits, maybe 9. And then like, I take like 6 wounds. I have to fail 3 of them to die. I've got all luck with the Laughing God rerolls. I'm like, all right, I'll just get him to expose himself, wound a character, and then he goes into boat, and I don't care that it's wounded. Instead, I killed his boat, and when his Death Jester got back, I shot mine at him. And I rolled 3 6s to hit and got 12 hits. And he didn't have -1 to wound or luck with the Laughing God, and... Goodbye.
So Jeff's pretty cool. Jeff, like we were saying, I think he's competing for literally the best character in the game. Value for 70 points.
Oh my god.
It's just out of control. He blows up tanks. He blows up infantry. He blows up tough infantry. He can snipe characters. He just abuses rerolls. Put him in S tier and don't look back. But then I also want to rank regular Death Jesters because they are so vastly different. After Jeff, you just have Joe and Bob.
Well, they do have 2 different upgrades. There are 3 total. So the second one is, I believe, -2 to move and you can't fire Overwatch, which is legitimately useful. If we see like something with Tyranids, we know they're coming soon. If we start seeing good Overwatch mechanics or fast combat monsters that you can't kill in one turn, cough cough Tyranids, having a -2 moves and no Overwatches and things could be really useful. Like I could see a second one making a list. I think the third one is that every time you roll a 4+ to wound, you do a mortal wound. Yeah. That's nice, but on a 3-shot gun, I think that's the least useful one because you're realistically looking at 1, sometimes 2 mortals.
Yeah.
But none of that's bad.
I think you would take multiple Jet Jesters if you actually just wanted to take them for the standard shooting profile, not so much those extra rules. Maybe Ignores Overwatch has a place, -2 has a place. You could see that one for sure. But like you would just be taking it for the 3 strength 6 shots, AP 1-2 damage. Also sniping characters. So in 3 Death Jesters, one being Jeff, you're probably killing a character a turn no matter, unless it's like Trajan level of durability.
Yep. We actually found that the best thing for this was the Salamander Captain. We made him T7, -1 to wound.
Right. Yeah. So that's what we think about it.
That's what we think.
I would put that Death Jester, I think the regular one, I honestly put him in like C tier or B tier.
What? I was going to put him in A tier. 55 points for a 5-wound character with an invuln who snipes better than average. Like,
I can see B tier, but like he's not that impactful. A tier's got to have big impact on the game. It's not.
So like Magenron 3 Death Jesters just wouldn't be that impactful?
Look, I have my dreams, okay?
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page because I was a little confused as if you thought he would be impactful. If you take
Magenron with 3 Death Jesters, they combine like the Transformers to form Super Voltron. Yeah. Yep. Magenron.
I don't think Voltron's a Transformer.
Well, that's great for you.
All right. I'd be willing to accept B tier as like the normal Death Jester without the super. Like the Death Jester number 2 is B tier. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, I think they're both B tier.
Yeah, number 3 is C tier.
They're number 3 and number 2 are the same, except in like specific scenarios.
Yeah. All right, we do have some more characters to go through before we get to the good stuff. So, you ready for the Troupe Master?
The good old-fashioned classic Troupe Master. What's he got going on?
He's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant. So he's a reroll 1s to wound aura within 6 inches for core units?
Yep. Yeah. Shooting and combat now, which is kind of neat. We haven't actually really used the shooting part of it much because, troops don't really have guns other than like 6-inch pistols that they shoot from inside a boat where they don't get auras. But Mr. Troupe Master is probably his best thing, I think, is that he can take all of the relics and warlord traits that Harlequins have to offer. Because there are so many different relics that are like model with a caress only, and there's literally one model that can take a caress. So it's like, why didn't they just put Troupe Master only and save some time? But no, it's a model with a caress only, or like a kiss. But really, the Troupe Master, you can tool him up any way you want. You can try to make him tough. You can try to make him like a CP buff guy, or you can just make him a combat murder machine that goes way faster than he ever should. No matter how many times I explain foot in the future to people, they still just don't really get it. That it's like, 11.9 inches away. If I roll a 4, I make the charge. Oh boy.
It's really just... It's another level of I'm charging you from 22 inches away like those bikes, except it's like in a form of an infantry guy. He's not hiding in a boat. So it's, one, incredibly hard to stop, and two, like, so easy to overlook.
It really is. And he can charge from so far that he can also change his mind on what he's doing in the charge phase.
Yeah, which is crazy, because usually you commit to that stuff in the movement.
Yeah, but like when you're shooting at things, and Harlequin shooting is a little inconsistent. Sometimes you just obliterate what you're shooting, and sometimes you don't, and you need to go back and change direction. Troupe Master's great. So let's talk about, I think, the best loadout for him. We've seen Kagarax Rose and Foot in the Future a lot. Mm-hmm. You can give him 3 damage weapon that rerolls all wounds. You can give it +6 to charge rolls in addition to advancing D3 +3. Just really solid options for making a good combat character. I think he is just a combat character more than he is a...
The support is almost irrelevant. It really depends if you're going light, dark, or twilight.
True.
If you're going light, you're going to give him... You could give him the upgrade. Well, his warlord trait there is basically a 6-inch heroic intervention. So you could give him that, which is not bad. You also have access to... I forget the name of it, but the reroll the ignore symbols on 5s.
Yeah, Queen of Shards is one of the 3-point upgrades and probably the strongest. Mm-hmm. And it's exactly that. Every time you roll a 5+ to wound, no invulns.
Yeah, which honestly synergizes super well if you go dark. Now, dark is not the one that's been sweeping Adepticon over here, but it's also super powerful. I know it's very popular in other metas around the world, so I don't want to discount it. Getting that extra AP on your weapons synergizes super well, because the Rose is only AP2. Getting it up to AP3 ignores invuls, crazy land. And then just fight on death for free. I mean,
I'll also fight on death for free.
Right.
Yeah, even in Twilight, you get access to the Twilight Fang. Or Serpent's Fang?
It's Twilight Fang.
Twilight Fang. Mm-hmm. And then you just have like a boatload of attacks because he's...
Yeah.
Also, I've been playing him wrong in all our practice games. He's 6 attacks base, 7 with the Light Warlord trait. So in Twilight, he's 7 plus the turn number.
Okay. So...
It's like, that's a lot of attacks.
I think with the Warlord traits and combinations, the first Troupe Master that you take with all that stuff, much like the Jester, he's an S tier unit. He just destroys things, and he doesn't look back, and he's nearly impossible to stop. The second Troupe Master, third, however many more extra ones, or if you don't kit them out correctly, I think they are a very average run-of-the-mill character. They got Harlequin stats and rules. B tier for that stuff, honestly.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. The interesting thing I've been thinking is he is usually the second HQ. I'm wondering if I didn't need to fill an HQ detachment if I would take him. He's a good way to spend an HQ slot, and I think I would take 1 anyways. But I'm taking 2 in my Warm games today because I think Twilight is the best troop for taking a second one. Yeah. Because you get a second good set of combat buffs.
Right.
But in general, yeah, I think you just take your 1.
Yeah, you just take the 1, you kit him out. Mm-hmm. You could run the second, like John's explaining here, but it's a B tier unit in my opinion.
Yeah, and the first one is not.
The first one's not, much like the Jester.
Do you want to save Ynnari for last, or do you want to mix it in a little bit here?
Let's mix it up.
Mix it up? Are you ready to talk about the Visarch?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
No, you're not?
No,
do you want to get the book?
We should get the book.
All right, it's exactly where it should be.
Goodbye, friends.
All right, Nick is coming back with the book. We're going to find out what the Visarch does. I'm going to predict that he is a captain with a very good mastercrafted power sword. And he probably still has the heal a wound. To answer some of those questions above, yeah, we're rating the Webway Gate overall. I don't think the Webway Gate is particularly useful in a Harlequin list. Definitely a darker Twilight foot list, it would be better. But I don't think that the light mech list needs it at all. But Nick is here to tell us what the Visarch does. Tell me, is he a captain with a mastercrafted power sword?
Well, first, I'll tell you, I flipped right to the page. Now, let's see what he is. He is models within 6, his aura can reroll hits of 1. So yeah, he's a captain. He's got decent combat stats. He strains 5 AP4, 2 damage. On a 4+ to wound, invulns can't be taken, and with AP4, that is very strong.
Oh, that's cute.
He's got 5 attacks. He's a bodyguard for Cat Lady, so that's neat. And then he heals stuff if Eldari models are destroyed within 6 inches of him on a 4+. He's got a 4 pinball. I think he's relatively cheap. He always has been.
I'm hoping he's in like the 80 to 90 points range.
Yeah, he better not.
We should have Mark play Ynnari on stream soon.
We should. Mark's been busy on the farm, but hopefully we can get him here.
I think he's just in the craftable points.
Oh, that's right. The Visarch is 95.
Okay.
So, we were a little off in our what we hoped for, so he's a little pricey by our standards. But I think he's not bad. He's got good rules. The thing with the Visarch is he's surrounded by Eldari characters, which operate in every single phase of the game, or their awesome psychic powers or shooting elements, and he's just a combat thing. And that's just not typically what Eldar is trying to do.
Yeah, and he is a 6 wound model with a 2-up save, which makes him very comparable to Phoenix Lords.
Yeah.
And 95 points, he is a decent chunk cheaper than them. But I don't think he does a lot more than a Phoenix Lord in any way.
Honestly, I think if you're going to play Ynnari, you would totally run the Visarch. He's like, I think he's like a very good unit per cost, but he's just stuck in Ynnari.
Well, I suppose if you compare him to an Autarch.
Yeah.
Because he's a captain.
Right.
If you compare him to an Autarch, he is a good Autarch.
Move 8 is like, you can get places even with just move 8. It's not terrible.
Yeah, okay.
I would put him in A tier, but with the caveat that Ynnari being so not Eldar or Harlequins or Drukhari.
Oh, I was about to put him in C tier.
Okay, let's discuss this because I think he's pretty good for the points. Like you said, he's got Phoenix Lord like stats: 2-up, 4-up, 6 wounds. He's ignoring invulns on 4+ to wound with AP4 2 damage is legit.
Cool. But he's 5 attacks with no rerolls at all.
That's a fair point.
Because you'll never get Guide or Doom on him.
He does get Strands of Fate. He doesn't get bonuses. Well, he does. He ignores invulns. So he could just, save some wounds of 6s and go into somebody tough and be like, I'm going to stab you for a bit.
Yeah, but he's only damage 2.
He's only damage 2. He's not like annihilating someone with like 2 hits going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe A tier was a bit ambitious, but I like this little guy. He's got a cool cloak.
He does have a cool cloak. I feel like we can't discount the cloak.
I don't think you could put him less than B tier.
I feel like Ynnari alone makes him C tier.
Well, I'm saying with the caveat that Ynnari's terrible, but him as a character is a good character.
Where did the Eldrad Nick go?
In the logical zone, but we're not talking about Eldrad.
Oh my goodness, Nick. Changing directions. I mean, we could put him B tier. I guess.
Fine, you want to put him C tier? Fine.
I kind of do, yeah.
Okay, he's like low impact on the game. He walks around and tries to hit something with a sword.
I feel like he is the worst data sheet that we're ranking today.
He probably is. Those things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
He
can be in B tier and be that.
I just feel like because of the other options in the HQ slot for even Ynnari, I feel like that kind of pushes him out.
I just don't think this is like a relative to other unit choices type of thing.
That's fair. All right, we can say he's bottom of B tier.
All right. I like it.
All right. Ready to talk Solitaire?
So the Solitaire is interesting. I think he's one of the units that looks so scary and broken on paper, and you're just like, this guy's amazing. And then you're kind of, he's still overshadowed by his buddy, the Troupe Master, who is more of a missile than he is with Foot in the Future, and he's better in combat with him with 3 rolls to wound and all that. But he's a second version of a Troupe Master.
Yeah.
He's also got that 3+ invulnerable save, and with luck dice, that is a real bear to deal with.
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't die. Sometimes it does, unfortunately.
Right. It's not, sometimes he doesn't die. Not reliably, he doesn't die. And he's very vulnerable to mortals because he just hangs out on foot.
Yeah.
He can't go into a tank.
Oh, man. Mine got killed by a mirror of mines.
See, that just
like straight 5 mortals. I was like, oh, okay.
But these are a small set of problems to an otherwise amazing model that most armies would be so grateful to have.
Yeah.
So, again, I feel like his context within the Harlequin army is tainting how awesome the Solitaire actually is. What do you think?
I like him a lot. He's interesting in that he doesn't have rerolls, and he hits kind of hard, and he's very fast. I really just like how durable he is. I don't actually rely on him as like a combat missile. He's more of a scary threat and a very fast-moving melee piece when I need him. I mentioned how like Harlequin troops can't just go 22 inches. The Solitaire can.
Yeah.
He won't always go 22 inches. He'll usually go like 17 or something. Yeah. But that is still a lot faster than Harlequin troops. So he does get a lot of value for that. I mainly like that he's a great recipient for strats when you're trying to go in the Harlequin mirror. Because you can make him ignore invulns, and then he's inherently strength 6 AP3, which is great into an army of only T3 and 5.
Yeah.
So I rate the Solitaire. I took him. I don't think I would cut him if I were to try to run back Harlequins at a tournament again.
Yeah.
He would absolutely still be in there. For me, I still think he's A tier, not S tier.
Yeah.
Because you can make a solid argument for cut Solitaire, take more troops and boats.
We're in agreement. Throw him in A tier.
A tier.
Every word came out of my mouth, but it was John.
Putting him ahead of the gate, I think he is definitely more useful than the gate for me. But he doesn't crack the S tier of every single list just takes him no matter what. Still, he is absolutely good enough to take.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got the Humble Starweaver, the transport of the Harlequins.
Mm-hmm.
This was a fine unit last Codex when mostly it was a transport for your troops, and then it had like some capable shooting, nothing to write home about, and it was kind of fast. It was very fast and kind of tough with that 4+ symbol.
Yeah.
What if it kept all that, didn't go up a point, got an extra damage on the gun, better defensive stats in the form of adding no rerolls to hit against it, and it got a little bit better in combat too.
Yeah. It gained -1 to hit and shooting. Or did it already have -1? It had that, but...
What if it literally just got a lot better and didn't go up a point?
Yeah.
And it was okay before.
Didn't shuriken cannons used to be like strength 5 AP dash damage 1?
They were strength 6 AP dash.
Strength 6 AP dash damage 1. So gained an AP and
a damage.
Oof.
But
I mean,
this would obviously be a turn staple. It always has been for Harlequins because your troops need a place to hide. So that's another reason we didn't do the categories like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as a unit type, I think this thing is insane.
Yeah, it's more durable than like it's 6 wounds and it's still much more durable than like a Lehman Russ chassis, which is insane.
Having an invul invalidates so many anti-tank weapons as being a viable option to you. Like Las Cannon literally just gets cut in half in efficiency here. And on top of that, luck dice is 75% when you spam that stuff out. And shooting, and then the fact that it can just charge stuff and then be decent in combat and then leave. Leaving and still shooting.
Yep.
I mean...
It does everything. It does everything. And it's good at it, and it's cheap at everything.
And it doesn't really even follow the rule of 3 because it's a dedicated transporters. Just toss it in S tier. Like,
straight to the top.
Straight to the top.
I think I would put it above Troupe Master, below... this is weird. Are we going the first Death Jester or every Death Jester? Because it's better than every Death Jester.
No, the Death Jester in S tier is Jeff the Jester.
Yeah.
The Death Jester that's not imaged in C tier is the other Jester.
Where do you think? Above or below the Jester?
The same place. Who
same
cares?
place. It's all S.
You have to take them both.
All right. Yeah, it is insane value. It's the best transport in the game, bar none.
Yeah.
It's more durable than most mainline battle tanks, and there's no roll 3 limit. And it's easy to hide. It's small. It's fast.
And they're also, not only that, the physics to the model. Like when you have 14 of them, which is in the list, they go up and under each other, no problem. Their bases are circular. You can literally, like, just... It's insane how much little space they can take.
You can fit 6 boats easily in a hiding spot that would not hide a second Lehman Russ.
Yeah, I completely believe that. Because they're like triangles too, pointy triangles. They're
they're pointy triangles that like slide under each other.
Yeah.
And like, I was worried about hiding the army, and then like when I was like putting on the tables, like dink, 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 they're just like connecting together like Legos.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, this is just a super small profile.
So you know what makes that especially powerful? Putting them into an aura range of -6-inch range.
Oh, Shadowseers.
Talk to me, John.
So Shadowseers, like all the other Harlequin characters, in that they're pretty good. They provide a nice buff, and then they can take some point upgrades that just put them insanely over the top.
Yeah.
So the Shadowseer is normally a -1 to wound aura for core, which is an improvement in that it affects bikes, characters as well, of course. And it's a nerf in that troops don't have core anymore, but we're just kind of assuming that'll happen soon. But for right now, they don't. And you know what? Good Psyker. Harlequins have good spells in Phantasmancy. Mirror of Minds is still great. Webway Dance is a 6 of Heal and Pain aura for the army. It's just rock solid all around. If they're light, very popular right now, you get that nice +3 inches to all of your auras and spells. And speaking of auras, you can take Mirror Architect. And Mirror Architect is busted.
What's it do?
So glad you asked, Nick. Whenever you select a Harlequin unit within range of this aura as a target of a shooting attack, you just pretend that you're 6 inches farther away. Which means that you're like shooting your melt-a-guns. Like you deep strike in, you're shooting your flames and your melt-a-guns. You're like, I'm going to shoot with my 12-inch weapon because I'm 8 inches away. You're like, I see that you're 9 inches away, but just bear with me here. Pretend that you're 15 inches away. And they're like, oh, well, I have 12-inch guns, so I can't shoot. And they're like, yep, that's exactly what I'm getting at. That's it. Just minus, and it affects everything. Rules is written, it means that light, where you're 12 inches away, you can only hit them on 4s. That means that you pretend you're farther away. So if you're 6 inches away, they're like, pretend that you're 12, and now you can hit me on 4s.
I hate this thing. It kills my characters. It's precise mortal wound damage, and it makes the army like so much harder to interact with being that -6 range aura. And like if you don't, I mean, it just take it. Just take it, put it into your list, and give it the stuff, and then go win the games.
Yeah, it's great spells, great support piece. It's like just good at popping around. You can build it to be a to the last if that's something you're aiming for. Because it costs more than...
hard to kill it to the last.
It is insanely hard to kill to the last.
Just like, because it's a character, you just keep it in the backfield for clarification. And don't get shot. As it to the last.
And it is so good.
All right.
Straight to S.
Straight to S. Why'd you look at that? All right.
Yep.
Harlequin Troupes. Now, there's a little bit of confusion about whether or not these are core because they just seem to not be on the data sheet. I think this is an oversight. I know there's a lot of... Don't give them core. Harlequins are busted. Come on, think about what you're saying here. The Troupes deserve to be core. The busted parts deserve to be fixed.
Tell that to Admech.
Well, we're just gonna move on from that. So I'm not gonna touch on that subject anymore. Just they should have core, in my opinion. Whether or not this was intentional or not, time will tell.
We're gonna assume for this video that they do have core, or that they will in a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
So they're obviously going to be taken because it is your only troop choice, and it just doesn't make sense to play this army without a battalion, frankly.
Yeah.
So you're going to see some Harlequin troops in the list. How useful are they? They're not that expensive. They're 13 points base. They're like a witch that moves 8, has flip belts, and a 4-up invuln all the time. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they're solid. They're 5 attacks at strength 3 AP 1 when you don't upgrade them. You can buy them guns. You can buy them combo weapons. The combo weapons unlock really good strats. Because it's just a troop choice that can advance and charge out of a transport or fall back and charge, fall back and shoot, all the good stuff, it's just a really good mission playing unit. And they're OBSEC.
As a baseline unit, it's got a lot going for it. It moves through stuff, 4-up invuls, good amount of attacks, it can get stuff done, and it's very effective at it. It's not too expensive. That said, it's not like cheapest chips. You know, it's like 100-point units with some upgrades, 90-point units. So you're not willing to just like throw those away. And if you keep them nice and cheap without the weapons, they're only so combat capable. They have great strats. I think this is an A-tier unit.
I think it's A-tier, but like also we remember how annoying good stuff Drukhari was.
Yeah.
This, if you're doing that playstyle of just like little idiots jump out of boats, and considering the boats are so good, you're gonna have plenty of transports. I genuinely could argue for them being S because I don't like spending 100 points on this unit, but 65 points for a very durable OBSEC unit. You know, it's 6 OBSEC wounds for 65 points with a 4-up invuln, often -1 to hit. They're always -1 to hit in combat. Often you have the light bonus. Sometimes -1 to wound. I struggle to put them below S.
I don't think if you just took 9 boats full of troops, I don't think Harlequins would have anything close to the win rates they have now if that was the list they were producing. Not to say it'd be a bad army. I think it'd be a great army. I just like it would be competitive along with a lot of other lists that are competitive with each other. I don't think that list would be anywhere near the 9 Voidweaver list in power. So I don't think it's in the same category as Jeff and Shadowseer.
All right, I'll put it on top of A.
Yeah, I think they're a great unit. There's nothing wrong with them. But they're not breaking 40k on their own.
All right. Do you want to talk about the Yvraine?
The cat lady!
The cat lady?
Talk about someone who broke 40k long ago. Soulburst, baby! Now it is a shell of its former self.
She's a good psyker. Does she still have add +1 to her casts?
She does not. She denies 2, and she casts 2. She rerolls psychic test, which is statistically better than +1. She heals wounds when Eldar stuff dies nearby. She has a 4-up invul and transhuman, can only be wounded on 4s. Very nice for a toughness 3.
Kind of like Eldar, nice.
Yeah. She got 5 wounds. She's got AP 3, strength 4, 2 damage sword with her 4 attacks. And on a hit roll 6, the target suffers 2 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. Very nice with Strains of Fate on that one. Yep. I mean, if she's a fine psyker, she's better than taking she's your only option to take real Ynnari spells, I think. Unless Farseers.
Farseers, I think you can,
Yeah. She's to me like taking another Farseer. Real psychic test. How many points is he? Real sight test is very good.
Yeah, I want to say she's in that like 125 to 130 range.
Cat Lady is 135. So she's not quite as cheap as a Farseer. She's better than a Farseer. She's very Eldrad-esque.
She casts one less, though.
She casts one less. That's not such a big deal with the rerolls. Because she's going to be in the backfield, not getting denied.
Yeah.
The powers on the Ynnari tree are not spectacular. They're also not bad. The 4-up Invul is pretty good. There's auras. I would put her in... if I was playing Ynnari, I would definitely include her in my army. But as like a unit, because her spell tree is not so insanity, I think she's like a B tier unit.
Yeah, we're going to just put her right with the Visarch, I think.
I think I had her from, but yeah.
Yeah, I could accept that. I don't mind them together because you can do the cute bodyguard things.
Yeah, I would run both if I was playing Ynnari.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Now we got it. We kind of spoiled it a little bit, but also, if you haven't seen it yet, you're living under a rock. And get out from under, there's a sun outside.
Voidweavers?
Voidweavers. So, talk about 0 to hero as a unit type. They went from mediocre shooting, decent profile, like the Starweaver in profile, and kind of overcosted, to amazing shooting, increased durability, increased mobility, increased rules, just like awesome all the time. And they went from unit size 1 to unit size 1 to 3, meaning we're just going to dance around rule of 3 here.
Yeah, so take the Starweaver, a unit that we just put in S tier. Take all the things that make it great, and you add 10 points to trade that transport capacity for a gun. But not just a gun, actually a really good gun.
A prism cannon.
A prism cannon. Yes, you could take a haywire cannon, but shush. It's the prism cannon.
We don't talk like that.
We don't talk about that. We were talking about prism cannons. Pay 10 points, trade your transport capacity for like a 2-shot Dark Lance that's strength 12. But also you have the option to go 3d3 shots blast at strength 5 AP3. I shot and got shot by a lot of those profiles this weekend. And all of them hurt. All of them hurt.
They can do everything. They shoot tanks very well. They got 2 Dark Lances, as John said on the front, 2 Bright Lances, that kind of profile. Then on top of that, they got a Blast Mode to go anti-horde, 6 Shuriken Cannons. Shuriken Cannons are one of the most versatile weapon profiles in the game. They are medium strength, which is great against everything, or at least decent against everything.
Yep.
AP1 means that's good enough against every target. On 6 is your AP3, so you can even muscle through those Custodies and cover. And then you have a huge volume of shots between the blast portion and the 6 shots. It literally covers every profile.
Yep. Still good in combat. You can take 9 of them.
They have fallback and shoot because they're Harlequins and they have strats for that. They can shoot into combat. They can move 22 inches. Good luck engaging them.
Yep. When you get in combat with them, a 3-man squad does put out 12 attacks at weapon skill 3, which is like not enough to kill anything in the game, but it's definitely enough to inconvenience like a tapping unit. Like if you try to tap like some Cyberwolves or Crude Hounds into this just to shut it up or stop it shooting or make them spend CP, you were going to lose like 5 models to that. Yeah. They're crazy. Yeah, this probably is the strongest single data sheet in the game right now.
I think this thing is like, yeah.
Yep.
The win rates speak for themselves. The stats speak for themselves. The tier list we made last week speaks for itself.
Yep. It's just all good.
Yeah. And then we get all janky up in here with the Incarne.
This is like, to me, this is like the main reason to play Ynnari.
This is the main reason to play Ynnari. You get the cool centerpiece model. You get super awesome rules. Really fun to play with on the table. She does it all. She got slight stat buffs from her previous incarnation.
Incarnation.
Oh my god, where do I come up with this?
Did you do that on purpose?
It came out and then I knew what I was doing and then I just let it happen.
Yep.
So then we removed 10 now, we're strength 7 now, which is a nice increase because vehicles in the game are down to 7 a lot of time. And then she's got 6 attacks, which is cool. She does a weird explosion of, it's basically a flamer because it automatically hits and everything within 6 takes D6, strength 7, AP2 hits. It is not bad, but it's very short range, so it's only going to affect the game so much. She has 2 profiles on her sword. One is make 2 hit rolls for every attack, so 12 attacks, AP4 minus 1. It's 1 damage, and it's strength 7. The other one is amazing. It is going to go up to strength 11, AP minus 4, D3 plus 3 damage, and no invulns can be taken. So pretty much anything tough just instantly dies.
Yep.
That's being able to just pick something and delete it is an incredibly powerful tool.
Yeah, Incarne seems really strong. The biggest downside is that it does kind of make the army Ynnari, which is fine.
But you could take her as an auxiliary choice in any army, and honestly, I don't think that's bad.
No.
She has access to Strands of Fate, so doing so in a Eldar faction wouldn't
disrupt that.
She has a 4 and 1 halves damage, just like the Avatar. So unfortunately, she's gotten up to 12 wounds from 9, so she can be shot now without lookouts or rule. But she's much tougher, so that's
does she have damage or minus what damage?
She halves damage.
4
Pinville minus half damage, 12 wounds, and toughness 7 now. She used to be toughness 6.
T7 3 up, 4 Pinville, half. Like, ugh.
She lets everybody nearby ignore core for Ynnari. Or ignore combat attrition for Ynnari. That's
good. Good for them.
Pretty cool.
Good for them.
Yeah.
You love that.
And then she teleports. The way this works is when the last model of a unit is destroyed, she teleports to within 1 inch of that model's position. 1, I'm really glad they defined how teleporting actually worked mechanically. And then 2, that's awesome. You can teleport around the table mid-turn. You can't charge or heroic this turn. I'm glad they also clarified heroic. That was a question for a while. But it lets you go in there, annihilate something, kill something over here, and just get back to safety. Sometimes the board typically devolves into small skirmish battles around the whole thing. And if you had just show up with an Incarne, probably you're going to win that skirmish battle. And then she's not stuck on that side of the board. She just teleports to the next battle somewhere else. It's very, very high skill ceiling using her. Took me a long time to figure out how she worked on the table. But she's really fun to use. And if you master her, she's so powerful.
Yes. I love her. I honestly I want to see us use her on some streams soon.
Me too. I want to do a list with both Avatar and Incarne.
That's exactly what I want. One of the things that I love that's like, I don't know how often it's going to come up, but it's really cute. You know how people like send like a little throwaway unit, like a Crude Hound unit onto your side of the board to contest an objective? So when they do that, you shoot down at their normal army and kill something. The Incarne teleports and unleashes her flamer attack that just hits everything in the army. Then you shoot the Crude Hounds and she teleports back. And she just goes there. Boom! Explosion of damage, comes back. Like
that's really cool.
Nothing happens.
Yeah, a lot of times at the beginning of the game is a little trade piece, and now that she's actually got decently credible shooting, albeit super short range, that's actually super viable.
And that like lets her be useful turns 1 and 2, because as you mentioned, turn 3 and 4 and 5, when the game kind of devolves into a bunch of like little skirmishes happening all over, the Incarne teleporting around to a flank where she can't be killed is insanely strong. But then I think in those kind of matchups, turns 1, 2, maybe 3, she just doesn't do much.
Yeah.
But then if they're sending out skirmish units while you wait for that, go out. Come back, go out, come back, and just get useful.
I think if you play her mediocre or average, which, most people will do.
Yeah.
I think she's probably like a C tier unit, honestly, because she's clunky to use. She's got a big base, she teleports, that can be overwhelming. She's easy to shoot at because she's 12 wounds. She's very tall and wide, so hiding her is not the
she's got a lot of fiddly bits. If they can see a random soul shrieking across the battlefield, they're like, oh, that's where the las cannon's going. Into the soul next to the Incarne. Got him.
So I think it's very easy to slip up with her and not get good results. At her maximum potential, I think she's an A tier unit, pretty similar in utility to a Solitaire as far as potential goes. Way more raw power, she'll just flip a knight, but she has to be way more careful with her to deliver her properly.
Yeah, I was in the same spot. I was thinking A tier is a solid place to put it. Again, her biggest weakness is that you either need to pay 2 CP to include her or put her in the Ynnari army. Other than that, though, and honestly, the more I see Eldar on the table, the more I wonder, can they just afford to spend those 2 CP? If they want.
You could. 270 isn't cheap either. She's not. She's not free to take this Incarne. She shouldn't be. She's amazing, but it's 270 and 2 CP to design my list around playing an Incarne. It's actually not bad, but you would have to make that choice of I'm going to do all of those hoops.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of depth to the codex. You can play almost any style you want. We were just talking about double avatars in a Webway Gate, and we haven't even tried that in the Art of War Streamhouse yet. That's just totally viable.
Yeah, this is a really deep book on every level. Harlequins and Ynnari and Craft Worlds all have a lot of rules that we haven't dove into yet. There's a lot of strong things that we've already explored and played with, and we know that they're strong. Eventually, times will change, meta will change, balance updates will come out. You're going to want to look deeper. There is more to see in all 3 of these factions, I think. Ynnari is the one we've definitely looked at the least, but you know what? I would love to see you pull off a little bit of Ynnari jank on stream sometime soon. Maybe we get Mark down from the farm. Yeah, we'll see. Can Harlequins take auxiliary Incarne detachment and keep luck with the Laughing God? I believe no with that. I believe not. I could be wrong, but I because the Incarne has Strands of Fate, not luck with the Laughing God, I don't think you can take it and still keep luck.
She is actually 250. I saw.
250. Okay, cool. Well. Thank you.
My apologies, but hope you enjoyed this tier list, everybody. We had fun ranking them all for you. I know Harlequins right now can be a little over the top, to put it mildly, but don't worry. I know that the people at Games Workshop are very aware of the problem going on and the meta and the state of it. I'm sure they have some plans in the works to do something about it, hopefully sooner than later, and just stay tuned for that. Don't forget to give us a like, share, subscribe, comment. It really does help us grow this channel so much and lets us keep doing this for you. And then, of course, if you'd like to check out the War Room, we'll see you later.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll catch you there. Bye.
There's so many rules in 40K, hundreds of events, and constant updates. Skip the learning curve of Warhammer and join the pros. Art of War is led by multiple world champions with decades of success. We teach clinics, stream games, and inspire you to succeed at your favorite hobby. Join our global community of gamers just like you.